The value of Pi. The Pi network created Pi as a digital currency as well as a cryptocurrency. It has been designed to function as a sovereign currency, where those who have Pi can use the Pi they have to purchase goods and services, where others will accept their Pi in exchange for those goods and services, not in the traditional sense of how many other cryptocurrencies get traded on the exchanges that are behaving more like securities. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission describes security as a financial asset that can be traded. They can refer to any form of financial instrument, even cryptocurrencies and associated tokens. The Howey test is their litmus test, which follows specific criteria and guidelines to detect securities within the blockchain industry. The key to not classified as security is by decentralization. For example, when the Pi network is in phase 3, which is mean that Pi will eventually be listed on exchanges, the network of Pi will be decentralized. This is described in detail in their white paper. If you were to buy Pi from another Pi user who mined it, the funds invested for the digital currency will go to the Pi user you bought it from, not to the Pi developers of the Pi network. If Pi network would be selling Pi to its Pi users, it would be pulling the financial funds invested for its cryptocurrency, like an ICO, which is an initial coin offering, which they control as a common enterprise. An ICO is what developers of cryptocurrencies tend to gravitate towards, as it helps supply the funding needed for the crypto project. If the investors decide to take the risk, they invest their money in return receive the tokens of that cryptocurrency. The company developing the crypto won't lose ownership of their company by offering an ICO to the public. Those who invest in cryptocurrencies are subject to a lot of risks, especially from an ICO that will cause Pi to be classified as a security because investors will be relying on the Pi network developers' management efforts to provide a return on their investment. If it is classified as a security, it must file with the SEC. And it will be regulated by that authority heavily. The SEC is looking at the crypto sector more and more and coming down on many past cryptocurrencies that did launch ICOs as, by their definition, they are classifying in the category of securities. Pi network does not and will not do this in the future. Pi network has designed Pi to be free to mine. There is clearly written and an explained description in their white paper. Open source blockchain and an open source consensus classified Pi as being fully decentralized, where there is no central authority governing the project's applications. It is the very definition of decentralization, as the distribution of power eliminates any central authority. In order to understand the value of Pi, one must first understand what value really means. Perceived value, what is that? It is an intangible value. It is what people believe something is worth. The real value is what it actually costs outside of influence from the consumer or the seller. For example, a manufacturer develops a product, a third-party seller pays for that product at no cost. The manufacturer makes a profit based on their markup of what it costs them to create that product. That is the wholesale price. The third-party seller then takes that product onto their platform and influences its price by creating its perceived value to the public. That is its retail price. The way the product is described and presented to the customer, as well as the platform it's being sold on, helps to increase its perceived value. The urgency what appeals if there was a discount for a limited time offer also increase its perceived value as a discount from the list itself. Price makes the consumer feel as if they're getting a deal. That markup from what it costs, the third-party seller usually is a lot higher than what it costs them for the product, as they must account for advertising costs, shipping costs, storage costs, the cost of the goods per item, as well as the profit margin. The moment a consumer has paid for the product, that helps to establish its value. As the product increases in sales by different consumers and is used by them, it validates that perceived value to the public for the cost of that product, as that becomes the standard of what it costs for an average consumer to have that product. Perceived value is the value many people pay for the goods and services they have. Value is relative in regard to a specific item and what it's worth. It's worth whatever someone else has paid for it to that person who has paid for it. When it comes to currency, the value will come from how useful the currency is to its users in their lives. Will Pi be able to provide for their needs as well as wants for themselves and their families? Can I pay for food, water, shelter, clothing, transportation, healthcare, education, and the use of the internet, etc.? These are the very things people need and desire around the world. Is it accepted in many other countries for goods as well as services? The extent of where it's accepted directly correlates to how useful it is around the world. Many sovereign currencies are restricted to being only useful within their own country. Outside of their country, it may not be accepted by others from another country for their goods and services. People seek the very information they believe, to reaffirm their beliefs. Whether these are good or bad, it still remains the truth. I once heard of a story of a man who stopped by at a gas station to gas up his vehicle. While doing so, he approached another man nearby and asked what the people were like in the town, as he was thinking of moving to the city to relocate for his job. The gentleman stated, "The town was bad, people are not that friendly. It's hard to make new friends in the city, and there isn't much to do." While he was shopping for some snacks, he asked the lady what the people were like in the town. She stated the people were extremely friendly. I described a few experiences she had where a stranger from the town helped her. She stated there was plenty going on in the community, and the town was a great place to raise a family. Remember, neither person the man approached in that city was wrong. You will find whatever you are looking for if you look long and hard enough. Once perception becomes one's reality. There are many Pi communities that have already been established on different social media platforms all over the world. You will find people who believe very strongly that Pi is worthless. You will also find people who believe very strongly that Pi is worth quite a bit for each Pi. Opinion only becomes a fact if that opinion is a prediction that ultimately becomes reality. Until then, it's only an opinion, nothing more. There are many who looked at the Pi coin, which is a different project, as it's listed on an exchange, thinking that the value of 1 Pi is what's listed. However, that is not the value of 1 Pi, as that is a different project that is not related to Pi Network's cryptocurrency Pi. This is very clear in your white paper, as Pi will not be listed on any exchanges until phase 3 of its development. And Pi at this time is only in phase 1 of its timeline. Then you have many others who look at CoinMarketCap. They look at past cryptocurrencies and the supply for that crypto coin to help evaluate the listing price of Pi when it hits an exchange. Cryptocurrencies that have billions in supply are pretty worthless. They are usually valued at only fractions of the single cent in USD per crypto coin. The average Pi account holds about 500 PIS at this time. If you take into account how many pounds users there are in the Pi network, as well as those who have a lot of Pi versus those who have hardly any, which makes up the majority. Based on how the network is built out, more people essentially invite more people. If you have 2.5 million engaged pioneers, and each person on average has 500 PIS, the Pi supply would be 1.25 billion worldwide. This is the Pi that has been distributed. However, the Pi people will be able to transact will be less, as not everyone in everyone's earning will perform or pass KYC for various reasons. Only the Pi accounts that pass KYC will account for the Pi that can be transacted worldwide. This will be the true Pi supply circulating the world for goods and services. Many cryptocurrencies develop use cases in their white paper, but very few have the network as well as the platforms to implement such use cases for their crypto. They create it, they get it listed on an exchange, and then they try to build the use cases. What does the cryptocurrency need to establish value? Trust, first and foremost, security, as this is a digital currency. Scalability in regard to its growth of users, utility in regard to what Pi can buy for its people, acceptance. In these areas, Pi would be accepted as the medium of exchange for goods and services. Accessibility in regard to how easy it would be to use Pi to pay for goods and services. A team in regard to how people can earn Pi. For now, we can earn it through the app and the rules available. However, in the future, there must be other ways of earning Pi. When Pi can no longer be mined, people need to be able to render their services and be willing to accept Pi for payment. People need to develop products and sell them in exchange for Pi as payment. The pilotage market for watching ads must be in place. This is why sovereign currencies are very effective, as the central authority being governments issue legal tender notes. And the country understands that this legal tender notes that our government issued as the medium of exchange we can accept for goods and services no need to be used elsewhere in the country for something else. However, there must be a way to earn it, as it is the universal form of payment accepted by many within the country. Businesses pay their employees or independent contractors. But the services they render Pi will eventually do the same in the future, as it is necessary in order to sustain Pi's economy. Which leads me to pause the economy. At this time, it does exist. However, it's limited to selected users within the Pi network. As only the people who have passed KYC can pay with their Pi for goods and services from other pioneers. There is a Discord that is auctioning goods for Pi. It is the first of its kind. PBITGCC is not the one hosting these Pi auctions for goods. This is a different Pi community that developed an innovative way to make Pi useful. It is an interesting concept. But only the Pi whales can sustain this market for Pi. Still, everything has its place. And this was a great initiative. The value of Pi for goods and services that have already occurred between pioneers has valued Pi at about $1 per Pi, or up to $15 per Pi for what both parties are willing to accept for the goods and services involved in the transaction. Pi Network specifically chose these individuals for the length of time and Pi Network, their commitment to Pi Network, their activity in the community for Pi Network, their willingness to help educate and direct new users within the Pi Network app, their total amount of mining sessions, their influence in the Pi community, their past backgrounds and the value that person can bring to the platform with their knowledge as well as their past experiences. These and many other reasons. Other reasons why the Pi Network developers chose these individuals. These are the people who are building out the Pi economy from ground zero. Pi has not been valued at fractions of a cent for each Pi for any of the transactions that have taken place with Pi. Remember, people will state what Pi may be worth on an exchange based on past cryptocurrencies, as well as past projects they've been heavily involved in. Their evaluations initially will be nowhere near $1 in what they deem a Pi to be worth. However, I need you to focus on this, the conversion rates that the Pi's been going for, in terms of value in what it can buy you, in regard to its purchasing power is far above fractions of a cent for a single Pi. This is a fact, not an opinion. People tend to think of Pi conversions when stated meaning one Pi is worth $1 to $15, then I can cash my Pi out and get a specific amount. That value can only be captured and realized in the Pi market. You cannot buy Pi with your currency or other cryptocurrencies on an exchange or from other pioneers at this time. Doing so will have your Pi account burned. I would highly recommend not violate the terms of use by the Pi network. In Phase 3, you will be allowed to will Pi be worth thousands of dollars per Pi. Only time will tell, but most likely, it may never hit that value. As we as a Pi community do not want Pi to have a lot of volatility, which means its value is fluctuating within minutes or hours constantly. This will prevent stability and trust for the value of a particular item that's needed or desired. A Pi user needs to know he or she can buy that item for relatively the same amount of Pi, even a month later. This will give Pi straight and allow people to trust that Pi can provide for their needs. Pi users must understand that unlike cryptocurrencies in the past, once username was irrelevant to perform a transaction, you only needed a public key wallet address, which is encrypted to receive crypto coins from other users. Pi Network incorporates trust onto their platform. By design, we build trust graphs. When we build security circles, I will build out larger trust graphs with quorum slices in the future with our Pi nodes. More on that later in another episode. What this means is, your Pi username will become extremely valuable in the future for the transactions you may have access to. Depending on it, the community can trust you. When the Pi network transitions its blockchain technology onto its network outside of the app, public key wallet addresses would be necessary. But Pi usernames may also be necessary, especially for a high-ticket item. Build the trust you desire within Pi's community. You can do this by connecting with other Pi users who have been accepted as trustworthy within the platform. To help establish your credibility, begin with low-ticket transactions to facilitate them. As you become more trusted, word will spread that you can be trusted in the community, then that may grant you access to transactions that push Pi and what it can achieve. Perhaps one day, you may be the first person to purchase the latest mobile device with Pi, the latest MacBook Pro with Pi, a PS5 in the future, etc. It will require time for your Pi username to be trusted, a volume of transactions between you and other Pi users, and trust by the world in Pi as a cryptocurrency. As we build the Pi economy by offering goods and services that hold value for Pi, Pi becomes valuable to those who hold Pi. As the value of Pi increases by demand from the sheer amount of users who have Pi, use Pi and need or want, its purchasing power will yield more opportunities to those who possess it. Cryptocurrencies follow deflation, but they follow inflation if the supply for that cryptocurrency keeps increasing. Sovereign currencies though have an unlimited supply. $1 can still buy many things, as the value pi is ultimately determined by the people who use it, what they are willing to accept for 1 pi, and what 1 pi can buy. For those people, as the value of pi rises, more people can afford to use pi daily. This is needed in order to sustain the economy for pi, which is where the real value for pi comes from. Cryptocurrencies that get exchanged the currency don't directly offer the value. It is the fiat currency that directly offers the value. Pi is being built to eliminate that extra step. People have been taken to give them direct value from its own market without the fees from an exchange. Isn't that what we all want? Isn't that why we chose to use cryptocurrency? Isn't that why we believe in pi? Because we all deserve better. What is pi's value? It depends on where you shop with your party. Therefore, shop where you will get the most value for your pi. By doing so, everyone in the entire pi network would benefit collectively. The world will change because of it. If you'd like to learn more about pi, stay connected as I go deeper into what pi is doing, and how it can help you as well as many others. Until next time, stay mining and stay smiling. Wait a second, one more thing. Those who love to make money through crypto. There is a training system known as Crypto Ultimatum. A detailed training system that shows an absolute beginner, without any skill, how to make huge profits in a short time with cryptos. Crypto Ultimatum training system guarantees your success even without any skill, because the methods included in it really work. Simply follow the methods introduced in the training system to multiply your money. Link in the description.